Okay, on my preacher voice. I said I want to thank a number of actually Democrat leaders that have actually been helping me in this process, from the Attorney General Phil Weiser, who was one of the first people I sat with to ask, am I crazy for running? To Jenna Griswold and Tony Exum's endorsement, and just a number of leaders in this community. So my name is Yemi, and the first thing you need to know about me is I love this city. I am running for mayor because this community needs my leadership. And here's what I mean. When you look at where our city is going in the future and the needs, you need a leader with the ability to bring people around the table to solve some of our city's problems. And my vision for our city is to become an inclusive, culturally rich, economically prosperous, safe, and vibrant city on a hill that shines brightly. Friends, yes, thank you. Your community is only as good as your government, and your government is only as good as those that you elect. So we have an opportunity this election cycle, and if you haven't got your ballots are out, and I ask for your vote. Thank you. May I show you my timekeeper?
I am.
Okay. I saw you do this.
Yeah, I was.
No, thank you.
All right, so you have actually heard all of these.
Some flavor of these already this evening. So we have 5 questions here, 90 seconds for each one of the answers. So the first one is, what concerns do you have about how the mayor's office is being run today, and how did it shape your decision to run for this office?
Absolutely. This one is quite easy. I spent the last 3 years of my career working with the city of Colorado Springs as the city's small business development administrator. So the Economic Development Office, actually on the same floor with Mayor John Suthers, 5 offices away from Mayor John Suthers. So I got a bird's eye view into city operations. And friends, this actually, I'm the only candidate with actual experience working inside of city government. So I got an opportunity to see what I like about the current administrations and things I would like to improve. So your mayor is tasked with mainly 3 responsibilities according to the city charter. Is to keep our community safe, to care for our parks, so safety, parks, and then your public infrastructure as well. There's a 4th public that I like to talk about, and that's public leadership. Leadership matters, and you need a leader who will finally transition us from being a city for the few to become a city for the many. And it's time that we move past that special interest way our government has been led.
It's 90 seconds for this one as well. I'm going to rephrase this a little bit because Kat actually made a good point. There is a perception that crime is rising in the city. Now, what specific type of crime is having the most impact on citizens, and what do you have planned to address it?
Oh, absolutely. The perception is real because it's data driven. So between 2015 and 2020, it went up in 35%. And it's not just crime, it's different aspects of crime. It's property crime. It's also hate crime. That's also on the rise. So we do need to address these issues. And when I think about addressing crime, there are 2 ways. There's how do we respond to crime, as well as how do we prevent crime? And both are equally important. So when we talk about responding to crime, yes, we need more law enforcement officers. Yes, we need to boost morale. But when it comes to preventing crime, that's probably one of the most important opportunities that we have. And one of the things I like to do as mayor, actually 3 things I'll be doing as mayor. Number 1 is to increase partnership with mental health providers and substance abuse treatment to help get around the issues that causes crime. Number 2, I'd like to restart the Youth Advisory Council, which is a program that got killed in 2020. And what that program is the chief of police meets with our high schoolers to get ahead of some of their issues. Yeah, I'm looking at some of you guys are going, yeah, that's an interesting program. And what's effective is it opens the lines of communication between the mayor's office and the police department and our young people. That exchange of information is really important to help us get ahead of many of these issues.
Yeah. All right, 90 seconds again. With homelessness being a top concern for many citizens,
what do you think is the biggest contributing factor, and what plans do you have to help alleviate this issue?
I'm a downtown business owner. I am faced with the homeless challenges. This is not just hearsay. It's something we have to deal with every day. One of the things I like to say is that, I'm a former pastor. I was a pastor in this community. It's how I moved to this city. My heart is to care for our homeless resident. As a parent of young kids, public safety is at the top of my mind. As a mayor, I will prioritize both. The Colorado Coalition for Homelessness has estimated that 71% of homelessness in the state of Colorado is connected to mental illness. So we know what the problem is. Let's deal with the solution. So I will be leaning into mental health care because that's one of our biggest opportunities. And we're going to do it in three ways. Number one is to boost partnership with many of our local providers who are focusing on mental health care. Number two is permanent supportive housing. That one is really important to me because it combines housing with case management. So let's get our residents experiencing homelessness off the street into a safe place. And while they're in this safe place, which is long-term housing, let's get them the mental health care they need. And number three is to increase street outreach with qualified professionals, people who are trained in behavioral and mental health care, who actually are qualified to be able to guide our homeless residents from street to housing, work, and health. Thank you.
Marijuana has assisted in providing Colorado with a top economy nationwide. Would you work to make recreational use allowable within our city limits, and how would you accomplish this? If not, what other sources of revenue would you use to bolster or benefit our economy?
All right, that's a great one. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the many medicinal marijuana companies in our city that actually provide the much needed care that many of our residents need to address chronic pain and anxiety and many of the other services that we need. Two, the residents made that decision in the last ballot around recreational marijuana. And if that comes back in the ballot as mayor, I think the right process is to allow the residents to make that decision without a mayor that is inferring and disrupting that process. And I just want to mention actually Anthony Carlson, he's in the house. He's many of you know Anthony was at the helm of that project, and he's one of the people helping me in my campaign. And so I am close to the conversation. The biggest thing you need to know from me as your leader is that you have a mayor who's not disrupting the process, and let the residents make that decision around recreational marijuana.
It's a fifth and final of these, this type of a question. With Colorado Springs on track to be larger than Denver in the next 10 to 15 years, do you?
I didn't know that's what we wanted.
I wasn't really prepared for that either.
Usually everyone is saying they don't want growth.
Not in my backyard.
Right?
Yeah. With Colorado Springs on
Track
track
to be larger than Denver the next 10 to 15 years, you consider city public transportation plans adequate for the inevitable and exponential population growth?
Yeah. So if you, Colorado Springs right now, we're a very car dependent city. About 80% or more, we depend on our cars. As our city grows, that's going to change because we're going to increase in diversity. We're seeing that a lot of Gen Zs and millennials are choosing not to actually drive their cars. We need to increase transportation options, including for our senior citizens and residents with disabilities. Yes, I see Gloria in the back. Yeah, so yeah, we do not, bottom line is we do not have enough. And it's one of the areas we need to lean into, that I will be leaning into as mayor. Diverse transportation options, multimodal, innovative transportation too is really important. So it's critical that as our city grows, we are taking a look at those options to ensure that our transportation infrastructure needs is matching the growth of our city as well.
All right, we're moving on to speed round.
Okay.
So just indicate yes or no.
Also verbally to each one of these. So within the context of the recent proposal by the Pueblo City Council to restrict access to abortion medication, was that proposal ethical?
In Pueblo or Colorado Springs?
Pueblo.
I have to own that I don't know much about it, but I don't believe so, no.
You believe that climate change is real and a dangerous threat?
Absolutely, especially when you live in Colorado. It's a reality for us every day.
Should taxpayer dollars be used to provide more equitable outcomes for disenfranchised communities?
Yes,
Should every worker, regardless of the type of workplace, have the right to organize and collectively bargain?
yes, it's part of our constitutional right.
Is the absolute separation of church and state as enshrined in the Constitution something that you vow to uphold?
According to Thomas Jefferson, yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Yemi.